Okay, so we are in the halachas of lighting the Shabbos candles. And before all the holidays and everything, we left
Left.
off at Sif Dalid. Sif Dalid in Simin Reish Samach Gimel discusses the earliest time that one is allowed to halachically light candles. And the answer in short is Plag HaMincha, which is on the schedule, which we'll go through. Lo yaktim lamaher lahadliko. You shouldn't be quick to light earlier, Ba'orei Gadol when it's still day. Sha'azin or Nikar Shemahadliko Lokavod Shabbos, because then it is not recognizable that you're lighting in honor of Shabbos. V'gam lo ya'acher. But also you don't want to light candles too late. Oh, exactly what we're learning about. You're just asking before. Just gonna pull up the schedule over here. So if you look at the chart over here from the Zmanim, so this is what time we have. This is the time with this is the chart with all the times over here, right? So this is talking about that you have this is this week. So Plaga Mincha is going to be 5 o'clock. Shabbos is going to start 5:53 this week. So the earliest you could light is by 5:01. That's what we're learning about over here. That's the earliest you could light. V'gam lo ya'acher. You don't want to delay it over here. Now, in the Shulchan Aruch itself, he doesn't specify this time of Plaga Mincha. He just says don't light when it's still day, and he says don't delay it too much. It's a little vague what the intention of the Shulchan Aruch means. If you do want to light when it's still day, lakabel of Shabbos miyad, accept Shabbos upon yourself immediately. Rasha, you're allowed to do so. Since you're going to accept Shabbos upon yourself immediately, it's not considered that you lit too early. Ubilvad, and here the Shulchan Aruch specifies, as long as as long as it's after the time of Plaga Mincha, which, by the way, the Shulchan Aruch points out is 1 hour and a quarter, an hour and a quarter halachic hour before nighttime. Whatever nighttime means. This means sunset when three stars come out. That's going to be a whole discussion. He says, look in Simin, the Ramah says, look in Simin Reish Samach Zayin, Vim Hayaner Dalok Mavod, and if the candle was lit when it was still day, the Ramah continues, "V'odei gadol yikavenu v'yachzor l'kendel l'tzorach Shabbos." You should extinguish it and then rekindle it. You should relight it, and that's based on the Tosfos and a whole discussion of itself. So let's just see the Mishnah Berurah. We'll just go through it. V'odei gadol, don't light when it's still day. Hainu kishuhu zman harbe koidim tosef Shabbos. This is referring to when it's a lot of time before Tosefes Shabbos, when you're allowed to add on to Shabbos and started earlier. Zman Tosefes Shabbos, the time of Tosefes Shabbos, according to the Shulchan Aruch, is a little bit before the end of sunset. So, so it's talking about a lot of time before that. Look at the Be'er Halacha for more details. Vayin Siman Reish Samach Aleph, which is a lot of parallel discussion of what we are dealing with over here, which talks about the halachic times. In the Mishnah Berurah, look over there in Sifkat and Chav Gimel, the Maskina and Shama, we have the conclusion over there. The Mi Shepirish Atzmo. The Mi Shepirish Atzmo, that someone who separates himself, malacha chatzi shah panim shlisha koydem ashkia, someone who doesn't work a half an hour or at least a third of an hour before sunset. Ashrei lo, praiseworthy. He's praiseworthy. To yoytzev b'zeh yidikol rishonim, he's fulfilling himself according to all rishonim. Lo ya'acher, don't do it too late. I know he chashu madlik b'simsum b'sov zman. This is talking about that you are lighting exactly at the end of the time that's permissible. Don't wait till the last minute. When we say that Shabbos starts 5:53, that means you should light before then. Don't wait till 5:52, 5:51. Light before, don't rush. By the time Yishum, and the reason is Shama ben kach ben kach. Maybe in the meantime you're going to delay inadvertently. By an Elsman Reisamach base of called Yonal Mishnah Berurah. Look over there. Okay. Lakaba love accepting Shabbos. Hainu shafish hasim mikom malachos asrus. Feel most of the time shame asurim midarabon, and that means that you are separating yourself from all activities that are prohibited, and even for those acts that are prohibited rabbinically as well. Aval koydem plaga mincha ein kabbalah so kabbalah b'diavad. And this is an important line, that if you want to accept Shabbos upon yourself before plaga mincha, it will not work at all in any level. So you cannot accept Shabbos early in this time. This is a big problem in the summer when a lot of people daven at early minyanim, and a lot of wives don't realize they're lighting and they don't fulfill their obligation at all. It's considered as if they didn't light because it's before Plaga Mincha. That's why a lot of times in shuls they announce don't light before this time. This is where it comes from what we're learning right now. And guess what? Not only does that entire family not fulfill their obligation of lighting Shabbos candles, but additionally they recited a bracha in vain, a bracha levatala. So people need to be very careful about this. About Kolden Plaga Mincha Kabbalah Sequel Apid Yevid, find some in Reish Hamachalus of Cotton Chafei Mishnah Brura. Look over there. Highlight at night. Okay, so the Shulchan Aruch over here specified that the time of Plaga Mincha is 1 hour and a quarter, halachic hour, before night. What is night? Mishnah specifies that's when 3 stars emerge. According to Lavush and the Gra, Plaga Mincha is 1 hour and a quarter before sunset. That's what they hold it is. So you have a discussion over here if it's referring to sunset or when 3 stars come out. According to everyone, this hour and a quarter, as was we clearly just mentioned, is not an actual period of 75 minutes. It's a halachic hour. So it's 1 hour and a quarter of a halachic hour, which means according to Lefi Sha'oisav, according to the hours of a day, Bein Shua Reichel Katzer, whether the day is long, for example, in the summer, or Katzer, or short, for example, in the winter. According to the Shulchan Aruch, Mischalek Melos Shachar Zilchavim, what you do is you take all the time. Here we have our little chart over here. So you take all of the time from, let's just do it over here because it's easier. The Shulchan Aruch says you take all the time from dawn until where 3 stars come out. So 3 stars, let's say, is 6:09. Excuse me, 6:51 this week on Shabbos. There's 6:53 Friday night, right? So 6:53, and dawn that day is going to be a little bit before 6 in the morning.
I was trying to say that once you start getting these,
so what you have to do is you have to take all of that time in between, divide it by 12. That number is your halachic hour. Then you divide that number by 4, and that's your quarter hour. So you add that number with the full halachic hour. That's how you get the an hour and a quarter. Whereas according to the Lavush and the Vilna Gaon, this starts from Zrichas Hashemish, the shining of the sun, which in English we call sunrise, Ajkia, until sunset. So you take the time from Shkia Sachama, or sunset, which is going to be 6:11 this week, and you take the time of sunrise, which is going to be 7:09 Hanitzachama, sunrise. Divide that by 12, that's your halachic hour. That's how they get there. Just want to say like a little chiddush over here, so to say. The question is, why is such an important concept? What did they do thousands of years ago? Why did they only start arguing about this 500 years ago? Lavush, the Gra, Shulchan Aruch. So really the truth of the matter is that this argument does go back even earlier than this. It's just known as the Machlokas between the Gra and the Magen Avram. That's what's called, because they brought a lot of proofs and they discussed it much more, but it's really it does in fact go back earlier. The Korban Nesanel, if I'm not mistaken, in Brachos says that it's really a machlokas between the Rambam and others, Shumas Hadeshin, and it goes back earlier, but it's known as the argument between the Magen Avram and the Gra. The Mishnah Berurah says Mevod Yom Gadol when it's still day. Afilu im haya achar plaga mincha. This refers to even if it was after. Okay, even if it was after plaga mincha. So this is talking about over here. The Rama was saying if the candle was lit. Let's say you just had a candle that was lit at a table for ambiance or for whatever reason it was, right? So guess what? Even if it was lit after Plaga Mincha, which halachically it's kosher, nevertheless, according to the Rama, you need to extinguish it and then relight it again. Why? Afilu im hayacher Plaga Mincha, even if it was after Plaga Mincha, umayri, and this is referring to shaya daluk le'inyan acher. Let's say it was lit for another matter. This was not lit for Shabbos. This was lit for ambiance. So in that case, it needs to be extinguished and then relit. However, but if it was lit for the needs of Shabbos, even if a person didn't accept Shabbos upon himself, so when he lit, mikol makom, nevertheless, ein sarach lekvoiso. You do not need to extinguish it. So what this is saying is, you lit it for Shabbos, right? Um,
The one made it tonight.
what?
The woman made it tonight or whatever.
Yeah. So you lit it for Shabbos, and but you didn't accept Shabbos upon yourself when you lit, right? Even though you didn't accept Shabbos. Mikol makom ein sarach l'kvoi. So nevertheless, you don't need to extinguish it. So what this is saying is like this. If it was lit for another purpose, you have to extinguish it and then relight it for Shabbos. If it was lit for Shabbos, even though, and this is a tremendous insight, it was lit for Shabbos, but the woman didn't accept Shabbos upon herself, which is an unusual event. And we're going to learn that should really only be done in a pressing situation. Women, whenever they light, they should be accepting Shabbos upon themselves. So, nevertheless, it was lit, but not in honor of Shabbos. So now, what happens over here is you don't need to extinguish it, because at the end of the day, even though she didn't accept Shabbos upon herself, nevertheless, since it was lit in honor of Shabbos, so therefore it counts. After the chachilo, lo haya lo lahadle kol kach mikoidim shenikar shemadlik in the Sorach Shabbos, even though preferably the chachilo, he shouldn't have lit it when it was so early, because it's not going to be recognizable that he lit it in honor of Shabbos. He shouldn't have lit it so early. It's not recognizable that he lit it in Shabbos.
It might depend on how big the
Nevertheless, it's fine.
also, you have these huge candles that you can see that it's going to go for like these big candles that are meant to go for like 10 hours, or I don't know if Hasidim have candles that go 24 hours or whatever, but then it might be more recognizable.
Right.
Does that
So
make sense or not at all?
it depends. If it's lit after Plaga Mincha and it's for Shabbos, then it's fine. If it's before Plaga
I mean,
Mincha,
if
or
you're
even
lighting a
if it's
candle,
after, or even if it's
yeah.
after Plaga Mincha, but it's not lit in honor of Shabbos, then it's no good. Right? The Mishnah Berurah, by the way, continues on the next page. Mikol makom b'di'evet shaper dami ayin ber halacha. Nevertheless, b'di'evet it's good. So lichatchila, you're only supposed to light when you're going to accept Shabbos upon yourself. We're going to learn about that more for women at least.
So then we're saying that if the woman does light before plag
Yeah.
for covered Shabbos, she would still be okay.
Yeah. Has to be after Plag. Where does it say? Where do you see that? Did you go light before Plag?
You know, if you do it,
Not before Plag.
right? You come up in so
Mikodem, meaning before you accepted Shabbos. Why are you lighting so much before you accepted Shabbos upon yourself?
yeah, but definitely still not before plag.
Yeah, no. There's a lot of bare halachos over here about this topic. This is the way to summarize this sif in short is you can't light before plag. So pretty much straightforward over here. Okay.